So welcome to another board game review from theplayersaid.com. My name's Alexander.
And I'm Starfarer Grant.
And today we're taking a look at SpaceCorp.
We had a long discussion about the name. If it was war-themed,
it would be SpaceCorp.
Core, but it's corporation.
Yes.
So SpaceCorp.
So SpaceCorp 2025 to 2300 AD from GMT Games, designed by the great John Butterfield.
Which we've played quite a few of his games, and I don't know that I found a bad Butterfield.
Yes. He does a lot of war games, right?
Yes.
He's designed my very favorite game, which is RAF, Battle of Britain 1940.
D-Day at Tarawa and
D-Day at Omaha Beach. Amazing.
Peleliu.
Great solo games.
Iwo Jima.
He designed the old Ambush, which is like a very popular
long time ago
narrative game. And but this... not a war game.
No.
This is a sci-fi
4X
exploration.
It's 4X. It's really 3X. There's no elimination.
Yes. There's no combat
or extermination. Sorry.
You can kind of try and steal bits and pieces of it, but that's quite difficult.
Yeah. There's conflict, but it's not war.
There's really not conflict.
No.
It's more of like
it's conflict, and I'm going to get the goal.
Position. Yeah.
Yes.
It's more of racing to the stars, expanding. It's some tableau building, some hand management, moving your pieces around on the board, and settling colonies, things like that. So there's a ton of stuff in this game. I remember, I don't think I ever posted the unboxing because
you messed it up, didn't you?
Well, I was
because you didn't know what you were talking about.
I was overwhelmed.
Yeah. Because there's 3 boards. There's about 400 different cards.
The boards are entirely different.
Yep. It relies on a lot of iconography.
There's so much stuff in here.
Yep.
And it's got John Butterfield.
Yep.
A solo AI in here with a whole bunch of other stuff.
In the box, there's like tons of components and bags you don't even use unless you're playing the solo. So it's a lot. I agree that it would be easy to be overwhelmed.
Yeah. So
very easy.
I shot the video and I was like, I quite literally cannot post this.
Yeah.
And I deleted it from existence because it was me just being like, what?
What is this?
For 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But do not be scared by this game.
Oh, this game is
amazing.
It's awesome.
It's really fun.
And I don't know that we don't say that a lot.
No. This is the first game for a while where I was like,
it's dope. I mean, I keep saying it's dope.
And they lived up to those expectations. This is a very fun game.
And this is my second play. I played with another group. You couldn't come that day.
Yeah.
This game is awesome.
We only played it 2-player, right?
Yeah, we played 2-player. I played 3-player with my other group, but we only played 2 eras.
Right.
We only did the first 2. We did the whole game.
And it was awesome.
It was awesome.
And that's something when we show you that there's progression through the game, through these kind of 300-ish years of future sci-fi kind of stuff. But basically, don't be put off by how big the box is and all the stuff in it. The rules are really easy to learn.
They're very clear.
Yes.
The player aids are fantastic. Once you play the game one time, you can play without the rules. I think there were minor things we had to check.
Not really, though.
But
honestly.
The player aids were awesome. They're graphically awesome, laid out well. They're clear, succinct. They have references back to what pages in the rulebook they are, which is awesome.
And, this is a GMT game, but this is not a war game in any way. And the rulebook is a board game rulebook.
Yes.
So it's topics in sequence of play. It's not
aligned.
It's not bulleted. It doesn't have indices. No. It's not 6.1.2.4. It is a normal rulebook for all the Euro war gamers out.
How many pages is the rulebook?
Well, the rulebook 20? Start to finish is 22 pages, which some of that's like
a lot of graphics,
big setup diagram. Yeah. But the way the game is set up, you basically start on a board of like the kind of inner solar system.
Our solar system, out to Mars.
And you play with that.
Yeah.
You play through that board, expanding across that board. That's the first 10 pages of rules.
Yeah.
Then you flip out the next board, and that's all those rules that you've learned, plus another 2 pages of rules.
Yeah.
And then once you're done with that, you get out past Pluto and out.
Yeah, you go into the
down
exo solar system, right? Into the.
Then you get beyond that.
Yeah.
Then you get the next 3 or 4 pages of rules.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like you got to read 20 pages of rules. It's really not. You read 10, very easy. Put it on the board.
Well, and I would say, because I have played just 2 of the eras, it was very fulfilling just to play the 2 eras.
Right.
You could see where things were building towards, but it was very fulfilling just to play those 2 eras. So you can kind of play. I don't know that it would be good just playing one, frankly.
No, I
just
don't
playing the solar system out to Mars. I don't know that you're going to get a good feel for that.
Because half the fun is you race off the edge of the board,
Yeah,
and then in the next one, whoever was first off gets a cool bonus to like start off the next era.
which is one thing that we kind of talked about. I felt like, man, that was really a game breaker there at the end. But that's part of it.
Maybe in a 2-player game, but I didn't. It's fine.
Well, only because it allowed me to get to a a buildable star system immediately without doing any movement.
Right.
I don't know that it was that much of a game breaker. It was
I wouldn't say it's a game breaker in any way.
It was just really nice.
Yeah.
It was really nice.
But that's the nice thing about this game, because you have a couple of different cubes that are your teams.
Yep.
And you've got cards that have movement values or exploration values or build values, and you're playing those. You got a small tableau.
Yep.
And you're using that to enhance your hand of cards
Yep.
that you're playing out to move between asteroids or planets and moons.
Yep.
And then you try to explore, and then depending on what you find, you might build a base there.
Mm-hmm.
And that base will give you a bonus for movement if it's like a star base,
or production.
Yeah, if you want to like mine from it, or you can build like a research lab to improve other aspects of your kind of board and special abilities that you can gain. But you're quite literally, you expand physically across this board, racing to get off the end at the perfect time. Because each round has a timer, which is either a deck of cards or a separate
goals.
track of goals. And if you can time that well, you could end the game on your terms, or at least end the era.
Right.
Then you literally like flip the board over, put out a new board,
Get some new cards
clean
out.
some stuff off,
Yeah.
set up a little new
Get
thing.
new exploration tiles that
Takes
are better.
about 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
Not bad.
I didn't feel like it was bad at all.
No. And the rule book, again, very clearly
Walks
walks
you
you
through.
through. Discard this, shuffle these, reset this,
Do that,
get
yep.
your pieces back.
Yep.
But again, really, really nice rule book. Very, very impressed.
And to be honest, you didn't read the rules at all.
Nope.
I played one time about 6 weeks ago, so I remembered the rules, but we kind of took about 10 minutes to refresh.
Yeah.
And after how many turns do you feel it took you to really feel what you were supposed to be doing? Because I'm terrible at rules.
Like 2.
Like it's not overly
and a turn
complex.
is a single action.
Right.
I mean, it's not.
I would say 3 or 4. Where once you kind of did everything,
Yeah,
once you
it's
moved,
not.
once you explored, once you built, it's pretty simple, really.
And that's something that you told me. You were like, this game is so easy to learn.
But it's dope.
And I had unboxed it and was like,
Yeah.
is it though?
Yeah, because you made that comment. You're like,
this
really,
is so much
Grant?
stuff. It's like,
And I'm not great with rules. You know this.
but it really is.
Yeah.
That's just credit to the designer and credit to the
playtest
editors
team.
and playtest team.
Well, I think this game, to be honest, it's a professional designer. I mean, let's
Right.
be honest. There's all types of levels. We all aspire to be that top of the heap. We've read a lot of rule books that are bad. We've played a
Yes.
lot of games that aren't free-flowing and easy to learn and easy to do. This is a professionally designed game that I think they did a hell of a job with.
Yes.
Frankly, I will say this before we go any further. If you don't have this, get out and find a copy because you're going to love it.
Yes.
Because you hate Euros. I wouldn't say
no.
You
No.
like specific types of Euros.
I am very picky with the games
that you spend
my
time on that
non-war
aren't war games.
Right?
Yeah.
I love playing war games. I'll play pretty much any war game and give it a go.
Right.
If it's non-war games, I'm pretty picky.
Yeah.
I'm just a snob, I guess.
Yeah. So what are some of the Euros that we have played? Terraforming Mars.
Right.
You really like,
That's
which is another
sci-fi
sci-fi game.
And I do like my 4X games, so we play things like Eclipse,
Merchants and
Merchant
Marauders,
like that.
Conquest of Paradise.
Yeah, that was
From
fun one
GMT.
too.
Dope.
What other games like? Five Tribes is a great game.
We do enjoy that one.
5 Points is a great
Oh,
game.
that's a fantastic game.
That's an underrated game.
Yeah.
But
I don't think anybody even knows about that game, which is a Travis mockery. It really is.
But that's, from my standpoint, I usually like, in my non-war games,
Right.
conflict or struggle.
Yeah.
Because, the area control, I play a game to interact with people.
Yep.
And in this game, there's actually a lot less of that than I normally like in a game.
I would agree with that.
Well, with 2 players.
Well, with 3, I will be honest, it was very crowded.
And I imagine with 4, this is
It would be very crowded.
game.
Well, and you're competing over those goals. There are 7 of those goals.
Yeah.
And you're competing. I mean, each turn we were kind of like peeking over at the board to remind ourselves, okay, which one was I going for again? And I can see which one you're going for. So there are a couple times I'm like, I got to try to get that before Alexander. Like, I think I got the 7, what are these called, breakthrough and adaptation cards, because I was like, I got to get that, because that was like 4 points. So I had to get that. So there is some of that, but it's not direct conflict.
Yes.
It's not direct conflict.
With just the 2 of us, I felt like I had enough time and space to do a lot of what I wanted to do. There were times where I was like, oh man, I have to do this thing just to like screw you.
Yep.
Just so you didn't get a huge
Yep, and you did that a couple of times, yep.
But it wasn't
Thank you
like I
very
was
much.
like, oh, I can't do anything. I was
No.
like, and that felt good.
Yeah.
And some games, when it's a multiplayer game and you're playing like the 2-player variant, it feels empty.
Yeah.
But this, I didn't feel that way.
No.
Again,
we were still on
credit to
top
the
of each
design.
other, and we were still generally going for almost the same places.
But when we weren't,
yeah, we
I'm
had
just
a way to
doing
go.
my own thing.
Yep.
It was
I
an
liked that.
enjoyable thing to do.
Yeah.
It's not just like, oh, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
Like, that's just, it's
So
not
with 3
fun.
players, that's very different.
Yeah,
It is much more.
I can't wait to get more people on board.
It's really much more. I got to figure out what I can do. I got to figure out what my opponent's doing, and I can't be doing the same thing that he's doing. Unless you have some of the cards like I played that allowed me 2 turns in a row. That could be a game breaker.
You've got to use those strategically,
Yep,
right?
you have to. There's
Can't be
another.
futzing around.
Yeah. There's another card, the time cards, which we didn't play in our 2-player game because they're made for 3 or 4. That is a way to kind of do another action or move 2 teams. So, there is some of that, but 3 and 4, it does get much more competitive, I think.
What we'll do is I'll show you some. I'll show you some stuff
because we can't do all 3 boards.
Yeah, there's just a lot. We've got a bunch of it set up just from when we just played. Well, I'll show you some of that. I'll wrap up with a few kind of final thoughts from this one. So here's a look at the game. This is the end of our 3rd era. So the game's played in 3 eras, and you can see this board. This is the 3rd era board. This is a separate little sideboard up here. This is a whole separate thing. And on the backs of each of these boards, this is the 2nd era under here, and on the reverse side of this is the 1st era. I'll show you those at the end of this because we'll have to get everything off, but basically you can kind of, well, let me see here. This is one of the player boards, and it has some bits and pieces on here. So you have a little holding box for all of your different base types, and that's something we'll get into here in a second. And then there's some holding boxes for cards that you're playing down into this little tableau that you have. There's also a little sequence of play, this little progress wheel, which this brown cube is your genetics progress as you, I guess, evolve quite literally. And this black one, it's called Revelations. So this is just kind of more random scientific and alien technology exploration that you find. As these 2 things go up, as they cycle around it, you'll be picking up, there's a bunch of cards up here. As those genetics go over, you quite literally will adapt, and you might have cooperative empathy, or you might have some radiation resistance, things like that. They just give you in-game bonuses. They just go on the side of your little tableau, and there's a whole bunch of those. As that revelation marker goes up, you'll get these breakthroughs. I felt like these were a little bit tougher to get, but it gives you like a permanent ×2 exploration modifier. Spoiler alert, that's pretty good. Or you get permanently secure bases, also very good. So in those kind of, there's a set for the 2nd era, and then in the 3rd era you get even more than that. So that's just more choices and more things that you personally can choose from to get and they expand what you as a player can do and your own kind of unique special abilities. So that's kind of what you have on your board. Now how the game is played is you'll have cubes of your own little colours, and everyone kind of starts in a middle or on Earth if you're in the first era. And you're using your hand of cards modified by the cards in your tableau to move into different galaxies, or there's different kind of planetary orbits and things like that in the other eras. And then you're trying to basically explore the region and then build bases. And in this last era, you're trying to lay out these colony tiles, which are these little hex-based tiles. This colony is... These dots are as colony value, and it gives you a special bonus when you do it. Again, all listed on this little board, which is nice and convenient. So to do that, if my guys are in here, these numbers are basically your what you need to have. That's how much like delta V you need, basically. So to get from Sol over to, gosh, Groombridge 34, you need 60 movement points. Well, how do you get 60 movement points? Basically, you look at your hand of cards that you have. Probably don't have this many cards in your hand at any time. And you say, okay, I've got move 6, plus 4 is 10, plus 6 is 16, and I've got a times 4 modifier. 6 times 14, Grant?
72.
72. And we've got to get 60, so we're good. Hopefully your math's correct on that. We haven't sent everyone a shoot out into space. So I've exceeded my little 60 there. Boop. I would go into this little galaxy.
84.
84. Well, that's plenty. Okay. We sent on a slingshot out into space to never see him again. Now, those two cards that I played, the ones that are in my tableau, they stay there. This card that I played gets discarded. Now, in this third era, this little cube gets put on this track in this space. You can see there's 3 spaces, and then it points to the star at the center of that galaxy. And this is the part of the game that I really, really liked, because it gave me a very high-level bit of physics. So in the previous eras, you just kind of, oh, I'm going to move to this asteroid, or I'm going to move to this comet, or move to this moon, and then I'm going to land and build a base. You do it pretty much instantaneously. But here, the distances are so huge. You move here, and then this guy is on this track, and just at the beginning of each one of your turns, he moves down to 1 space. I do another turn, he's going to move down another space. And another turn, he's going to move down here. So it's important in this one that you've got 3 teams, so you want to kind of be sending them all out and have guys moving so that you're utilizing your time efficiently, because this little kind of time-space track is going to delay you. You can't, if you send all your guys out and they're all just 3 turns just moving down that track, you're not doing anything. So it's important to, I'm going to be over here exploring, building a base, doing some colonization. Once I'm doing that, okay, I've got this guy, I've just finished doing this, I'm going to move him to this next one so that he can get there and start moving down this track. This guy's exploring. At the beginning of my turn, he moves down, I do my explore action. At the beginning of my next turn, he moves down, I'm going to do a build action. So I'm not wasting my turn just waiting for my guys to get there. You have to be pretty cunning in how you move your guys around whilst utilizing your time well. But I thought this little track, as simple as it is just a really neat shout to physics, basically. And to put that into a game, just to ground it in something that felt a little bit more real and a bit sciencey, I really enjoyed that. But that's basically, you move into places, they have these kind of primary and secondary discovery spaces. You do an explore action. Well, this has a little E4 right here. So I need 4 explore points. Well, the good news is, right on my tableau, I have 2 and 2. So I've got 4 explore points right there. So I say, I'm going to do an explore action. Well, I've got 1 space. I draw from these primary discovery tiles. I just pick one, and we put it out. And it's an anomaly. what's nice, all this stuff on here. So in the bottom left-hand corner, I get $2 trillion. The dollars are kind of wild in this one. So I've got this board over here, has a bunch of stuff. We'll talk about this central contracts area here in a bit. But I get $2 trillion immediately. Well, that was nice. Really appreciate that. I also, where's that, we're down here. This Rev 1, that refers to those revelations we talked about. So right here on this board, I'm right in this space, I move up one here, and as soon as I cross back into here, I get a breakthrough. So that's why we talked about these little blue cards up here. Let's say, I'm going to pick this one. As soon as I pick this up, I get $2 trillion, so I'm going to go up 2 more on that track. Nice, because that's our little victory points at the end. And this gives me a little special ability where at the end of any of my actions, if one of my cards that I played has the ability to be used as an upgrade, I can do that for free. Whereas normally, upgrading costs you an action. That's basically what you do on your turn. And so if we take a look, here's some of the cards that we're playing with. This is just a normal card. I can either do produce or a genetics action. This one here says I may upgrade to infra. So instead of playing this for the value, because these aren't great values, I can put it on my tableau is what that is. So I've got these spaces here. These are a terrible example because these were pretty good. So let's say I wanted to get rid of this. I can put this here instead. Now this special, so that would be normally, that's my turn. With this action, I can say, I would like to build something. And I can spend this build point, and I get to do that free little switch out on my tableau as well. So again, just a nice little example of making your kind of chain reactions of actions and card pulls, triggering all different pieces, and I love that again. I think that's really neat. So that was our revelation point that we got. So that was great. So we got 2 trillion and a revelation point. The revelation point gave us another 2 trillion, and we got a cool special ability that we can use in the future. So that's pretty awesome. Now, what we'll do now is, green player takes a green turn. Now what we're going to do is we're going to build a base here. So the build cost is 4 plus 4. So this anomaly is kind of making it harder to build here. Well, if we look at our board, we have 5, 6, 7. And let's say I look at my deck of my hand of cards, and I don't have any build points in here. Well, what I can do is I can use the build points on my opponent's board. So I'm just going to tap into this. He doesn't have a choice about it, so I get to build. That's great. So I'm going to build a base right there. So I look, well, I got the cubes mixed up here, so we'll just won't worry about it. Here we have a green one. Yay. So I look at my bases to see what bases I have left. And because you have a limited number of these, and what kind of a base I can build. And in this instance, none of these are particularly good. So what I'm going to do, that's really bad. Wow, these are not good. I think I'm going to build, well, those will suck. So, in theory, we'll just say I'm going to build, where did he put them? I'm going to build a spaceport there. Right, let's say build a spaceport. That cost me 8. Now, because I had used these 4 build points over here for my opponent gets to draw a card to do that. So you have to be pretty careful about how often you do that and how often you need to do that. I picked up a lot of cards from Grant doing that way, which was nice. But it's always that begrudging decision. He was pretty upset about that every time he has to do that. So that's, you build, explore, you build, and then in this third era, you're looking to colonize. And the colonies, like we said, with these little colonies over here, and there's a whole series of kind of factors that go into that. You're trying to muster colony points. Some of those come from certain types of bases that you have, how many bases. So this region here, for example, has 3 green bases in it. So you get a colony point for that. Basically, there's a lot of people, easy to establish a colony. If you have the right type of base, that can be worth a colony point. I had a special ability that is equivalent to a colony point. If you have a certain number of build points, that can contribute as well. If you're in one of these nearby spaces, if I have a colony next door, then that contributes one as well. So you might be able to get a little cheap colony here. This costs 1, 2, 3 pips at the top. This one doesn't do anything, doesn't have any special abilities. A lot of the other ones do, but they're more difficult to build. And that's really the aim of this last era, is to get a lot of colonies out. If you can get 4 colonies out, you get an extra 13 trillion at the end. The trillions makes it sound ridiculous, but 13 points basically. But that's a lot of what this game is it's moving into places. So if you move into this place, you would pull your primary discovery. Ooh, this is really nice. A trillion, and you get a genetics. But you also have a secondary one as well. So you're going to pull that. Ooh. And this P2 here means this has 2 production points. If you were to build a refinery on this, for example, I just threw my refinery off the board. Alright, here's a refinery. When I play one of those produce cards, so I say, I'm going to produce on 2 different production sites. So this has the P2, I get that many trillions. So this is 2, the refinery adds 1 is 3, so that's nice. So I've got P3, so I get 3 trillion. And because I can produce on 2 sites, let's see, where else can I go? I have a refinery on this one. This is 3, plus a refinery is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So by playing this produce 2 card, I just got 7 trillion points. $7 trillion, which, 7 points. And that's a huge part of this game, is trying to manage the balance between how can I get points from playing as fewer cards as possible that way, whilst expanding my kind of civilization, so to speak, and throwing myself off the board. Because if I can build a starbase here and a colony and throw myself off the board, I get 5 points, which is really nice. It's kind of some end game scoring there. Or can I build enough colonies to get a ton of points doing that? So there's a lot of things you can do, and you've got a lot of freedom to do it all. The other thing we needed to talk about were these contracts. So there's this board that covers all 3 of the eras. Ooh, I'm throwing them everywhere. That's not good. All right. Basically, they start down here, and in the first age, whoever has the first production action, you get $2 trillion. Great. And they start over here. The first base built on Mars, that player gets 3 trillion. Great. And then you move into the second round, and then it's totally different. Whoever has 2 progress cards, which were these little brown and blue adaptation and breakthrough ones, they'll get $3 trillion. And in the last era, the person who has the first colony gets $3 trillion. So these mini goals within this game have a potential for a lot of points as well, on top of all the other stuff that you're doing as well. So it's not quite a point salad, but it feels like that at times. You can get some really good kind of chain reactions of getting a bunch of points from production, and those points might trigger a goal that I score, and that goal that I score is going to get me more points. Or if I get a genetics, I can pick up a card. The card also has a monetary value, so I get money from that. That money might then do some other things for me. There's some really neat kind of interactions between all these components. Now, this is just the 3rd era, which is the most complex. Just from the numbers are pretty astronomical. That's a terrible pun, but so I had my calculator out at times, because some of the maths, some of the cards are odd. It's like 3 plus 4 plus 2 times 6 times 4. You just got to think it through, make sure you got the right numbers to get to places. But it is simpler in those first 2 eras. Oh, ruined the game. So this is the 2nd era. I'm going to kind of show you this backwards. So you have the inner solar system down here. This is where you start. And you've got the asteroid belt. So you've got different asteroids, Ceres, Pallas. And then you get out to Jupiter with her moons, Saturn, moons, Umbriel, over here with surrounding Uranus, Neptune, and out to Pluto, and then the Oort cloud. And again, kind of like in that 3rd round where you're trying to get off the board early, if you launch yourself off the board, you get the bonus to start the 3rd era. as you can see here, it's a bit more, I don't know, recognizable. You got the planets from the outer solar system. Those numbers are like 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s, and 6s. It's not like that was like 70 points to get everywhere. So this goes by very quickly. It's much more manageable. This went up a very good clip. And the very first era is actually on the back of this sideboard, because you don't use any of the sideboard or any of the extras like cards and progress things in the first era. The first era is very big and open. It's very quick to play through this. You start on Earth, trying to get into low Earth orbit basically, and then you're getting into high Earth orbit, getting yourself out to Luna, building some little space, what do they call them? Star bases. And then spaceports, and then launching yourself out to Mars. Basically, you're trying to get to Mars and then trying to get out through the asteroid belt. So you can see it starts a little simple here, gets a bit more complex on this one, and then this one ramps up the complexity again. But with all that being said, did not feel like it was overwhelming in any way. It's just nice to, and the mechanics are basically the same thing. Just you add a little bit extra with each time you flip a board and bring out a new era. It's nothing wild, so I didn't feel like there was you learn a new game each time you start an era. So there is a lot here. It is not scary in any way. The rulebook's very, very easy to digest. What we'll do is we'll just wrap up with a few final thoughts and I'll clean up this hot mess. So that was a look at least some of it, right?
Era 3,
yeah.
Starfarers.
But man, I'm just blown away by how fun this game is.
Yeah, we had a really good time. It took us 4 hours of playing.
That's the one caveat with this game.
But
it can be quite long.
But you made the comment, it's not 4 hours you're missing.
No.
You felt like it was a good investment of time and was very fun. Very enjoyable.
And if you chose to cut off the third era,
yeah,
2 hour game. Because the third era was longer than the other
because the deck probably adds 30% more cards.
And there's a bit more math in the third era.
Well, and there's also a lot more thinking about how can I do what I want to do. Because you have to get such massive movement numbers.
Right. And
50, 60, 80, 100.
The whole colonies. It's just a bit more to take care of. So that and the third era was noticeably longer than the first era and
Definitely.
the second era, right? The first thing we raced through them, I felt.
But I didn't feel like it drug. I didn't feel like the third era drug, even though it was
I needed
longer.
it to be longer.
Yeah. You definitely... Because in the end, the point spread was 16 points.
Yeah.
And we kind of talked about it. Had you gotten the colony advantage, it would have been much closer. So I thought it was a good, I think, very well-balanced game. I got some good draws at the end. Those alien tiles are amazing.
Yes.
There are some really good...
Some of them are very bad.
Yeah. Base plus 10, look at that.
Yeah, he's the hostile ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
I really like this game. I love the multi-use cards. You have
Yeah.
to plan how to use them. I love the fact that you build a tableau and have a hand of cards that you're trying to play and then add to that tableau.
And the dual use on the cards it's always killer decision making.
Oh,
with
it's
things like
either this
your productions or your
yeah.
genetics, things that are really important ancillary things to do. But you're like, oh, I can't do both, but I really want to.
Well, and that's another great point about this game. It really makes you make a lot of tough choices.
Yes,
a lot, and I like that. I really love the progress wheel. The genetics and the breakthroughs. Loved the cards, the breakthrough and adaptations. Those were really cool. They gave you a lot of different customization, a lot of different abilities. I could see this being expanded. We were talking about this too, and adding maybe half a dozen more of those kinds of cards, or even maybe introducing
an alternate third era, for example.
This game is very cool. Love the colonies. I thought that was very cool, how you had to plan that out, calculate your colony points for that sector, and then pick from a choice of, what were there, 12 in our game?
Yeah. And those are different in scale for different player counts, so different abilities.
And they had different special abilities that you could use to your advantage and hurt your opponent a little bit and gain advantage from your opponent doing certain things. I thought that was really well done. Plus, it's beautiful. The maps are great.
Yeah.
Components are awesome.
This is a game that was pretty much, I feel like this was designed just for us.
Yeah.
Because it's I love sci-fi games.
We love sci-fi games.
And this is a very easy to learn, but has a lot of richness and depth to your decision making. I love it's not quite engine building, but your little tableau with your cards, it kind of is.
Yeah.
And your special abilities that you gain. Plus, I like that it is it's at least grounded in real science.
Right,
And real astronomy. I don't know.
So we talked about, because we've played High Frontier.
Yes.
We have differing opinions about High Frontier. It is really, truly I believe, a simulation more than it is a game.
Yeah, and that one is, it's complex in trying to make the game do what you need it to do.
Right.
You need to
figuring out how to manipulate the cards and the distances and the factors that are, gravity and...
Because the rules are move here, do this, do that. Not okay, but
how do you do that?
But how do I do it well anyway?
I remember when we played, I remember saying, you know what, it would have been nice had they showed an example of one round in the rules itself, so that we would get a feel for, this is what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, that game needs a playbook.
Yeah, because man, I went to some far off moon, got stuck on it. I think I was on there for 20 turns.
It's just...
But the reason I bring that up is that is a simulation grounded in science.
Yeah.
This is not a simulation. It's a game.
Yes.
But it is also grounded in science. There's some, much simpler.
Yeah.
But it takes into account the different factors. Not all way, but it feels similar to me, but it's totally different.
I enjoyed how that escalated through the eras.
Yeah.
The first era, just kind of pottering around, just make sure you got enough thrust here and there. And then the second era, you're like, okay,
I really gotta...
if you want to travel from, the moons of Neptune to the moons of,
Uranus.
Yeah. The movement factors are so high, that little addition, because that calculates, it's basically orbital mechanics.
Yeah, distance and orbits.
So it takes out the geometry of that, and just is you just need a hell of a lot more, because here's actually what you would actually be doing in real life. It's just, here's a huge number for you to target, basically, which is nice. And then in the third era, you've got these astronomical numbers, so you need all these modifiers. But then you have the sol track, I guess, in each of those systems. I got my thrust. I move in there. Great. You can't do anything until 3 turns later as they actually travel. And that real turn delay is a really nice little representation of space-time. I think that's really cool.
Well, it's a simpler way to kind of connect the same principle, but that's why I'm saying this is more playable,
very much so.
But it replicates some of those real world scientific problems, quantum mechanics and velocities, and I mean, I don't know, really cool.
But
very
I felt
cool.
here's the reason it's doing this. It was a little bit, we play a game like Eclipse. There's no science in that.
No.
It's just, here's my ships and here's my lasers, pew pew pew.
But also a fun game, though. It's a great game.
But having a little bit of, I'm trying to get my thrust up here, but there's also going to be a time delay before I can actually explore and build. It's nice to have a little shout out to some real physics there, I guess. Although, again, still a 10-page rule book to actually get started playing is fantastic.
So what was something you didn't necessarily like about it?
I'll be honest, there was...
Not much?
No. I liked everything about this game.
Yeah.
The only thing I didn't like is there was only 2 of us.
It would have been better if Matt and Tim had been here, or Josh.
But it's still awesome. I want to play the solo game in here as well, just to see if that's robust. I presume that it is. John has a fantastic
solo system
with that.
I think the only thing I didn't like, and it boils down to what I don't like about every single 4X style game, is the tile draw. I just always feel like, although you felt it was mitigated.
Yeah, because you draw so many tiles.
Yeah. Over time, it's going to even itself out.
Killer.
And there was a technology, what was it called?
Yeah, you could...
Sensory focus.
You could pick 2 and keep 1.
Yeah, which... there were times I picked some, and it would have been nice to have picked another, because I'd have been like, throw that one away. But that's the only thing I do, because I could see one player getting lucky and drawing 4 or 5 really good tiles, But with 4 players, that's not going to happen very often.
Yeah, and that's just it.
I don't think it's going to happen.
I think that's going to be
often.
much less of a factor than in other 4X games you played, where you pull a couple bad resource tiles and you are hosed for a long time. You may never get back from that. This I did feel would be game breaking in that way here.
Another thing we liked about this was at the end of the game, there wasn't 14 different things you had to add up for your total score.
Yeah, it was
all throughout the game.
Yep. And then there's one thing. And
it's how many colony points you have, and
just how many colonies are on the board.
Right, and
it's
you had 3, I had 4, right?
Yeah.
And I got 13 points, you got 8.
That's it.
So I got a net 5.
So that was it. You don't have to get out the calculator at the end of the game, which is nice.
Yep, that was nice. I don't know. I really enjoyed this game. I'm going to have to say, if this was a war game or had some fighting in it, this would be really high on my list for 2018.
Yeah, board games wise, this is one of the very best board games I've played in a long time.
Oh yeah,
this gets stellar reviews from me.
Right,
it's the perfect. I love a good sci-fi game, and this is a good sci-fi.
I agree. I definitely agree. So once again, if you can get your hands on a copy of this, if you like sci-fi games, if you like the 4X concept, get it. Do yourself a favor, get it. I think this is going to sell out really quick.
Yes.
It may already be sold out, I'm not sure. I didn't look on the GMT website, but it's well worth the price. It's beautiful, and it's a great game.
Yes.
Really is.
Appreciate you guys tuning in. This has been SpaceCorp from GMT Games, and I've been Alexander.
And I'm Grant.